Let's dive into the story of Mohenjo Daro. We're talking about an ancient city that honestly shouldn't have even existed when it did. It was this thriving metropolis with modern marvels that have left archaeologists just scratching their heads. So what secrets is this lost city still holding on to? Just try to picture this for a second. While the pharaohs are busy building pyramids, there's this civilization thousands of kilometers away that had already perfected city living. I'm talking multi-story brick houses, modern bathrooms, even covered sewage systems. This isn't science fiction, it was the reality in Mohenjo Daro, which leads to the question that just haunts us. Who were these absolute geniuses, and why did they just disappear? For thousands of years, this incredible city was just gone, completely forgotten, swallowed by sand, taken back by the jungle. But its rediscovery in the 20th century, well, that's a story that sounds like it was pulled straight out of an adventure movie. And it all started with one single accidental step. Yeah, it really did all begin by pure chance. Back in 1922, an archaeologist named R.D. Banerjee was out hunting in the jungle along the Indus River. All of a sudden, his foot hit something sharp. He looks down and it's not just a rock, it's a flint scraper, a tool that's 4,500 years old. But believe it or not, that was just the first clue. So right after that, Banerjee notices some of the local villagers are taking bricks from this huge mound to build their houses. But these weren't just any old bricks, they were all perfectly identical, like they'd been mass-produced. And that's when it must have hit him like a ton of bricks. Pardon the pun. This wasn't just a hill. He was standing on top of an entire buried city. And then the puzzle pieces really started to click into place. Banerjee's team found these mysterious stone seals, and his director, Sir John Marshall, he recognized them. See, just 2 years before, identical seals had popped up at another site, Harappa, a full 600 kilometers away. This meant it wasn't just one lost city, it was a whole civilization. So in 1924, Marshall announces the discovery of the Indus Valley Civilization, and the world was absolutely stunned. And the city they uncovered? Oh man, it was an engineering marvel. This wasn't some haphazard settlement that grew over time. Nope, this was a masterpiece of urban planning, something that was way, way ahead of its time. Just check out this comparison. Most ancient cities, they grow organically. They've got these messy, winding streets. But Mohenjo Daro? It was built on a perfect grid. The main streets run precisely north-south and east-west, and they intersect at perfect 90-degree angles. That doesn't happen by accident. This place was planned from the ground up. Their foresight was just incredible. Building the whole city on raised platforms, that shows they knew all about the Indus River's floods, and they planned for it. The city was meticulously zoned, with a public citadel and a residential lower town. They had a massive granary with air ducts to keep green from spoiling. But the most mind-blowing feature? A covered, city-wide sewage system complete with manholes. That's something London wouldn't have for another 4,000 years. Right in the heart of the citadel, you'll find the Great Bath. It's the world's oldest known public pool. And this number? 2,100 liters. That's its estimated capacity. For the ancient world, that is just an unbelievable feat of hydraulic engineering. So how in the world did they make this massive thing waterproof 5,000 years ago? Well, they used this brilliant 3-layer system. First, you've got perfectly fitted baked bricks for the structure. Then they slathered on a thick layer of natural tar, or bitumen, which acted as a waterproof sealant, and to top it all off, a final plaster of gypsum. They had mastered waterproofing principles we still use today. Okay, so we've seen how they built their city, which is amazing, but what was life actually like for the people who lived there? Well, the artifacts they left behind paint a picture of a society that was surprisingly sophisticated and really interconnected. The stuff they left behind gives us this fascinating peek into their daily routine. They were living in comfortable 2-story homes. One building even looks like a shop with a takeaway window. Could that be an ancient fast food joint? They made beautiful bronze mirrors, intricate pottery, and, this is a big one, they were the very first known civilization to grow and weave cotton. And that level of sophistication? It carried right over to their economy. Archaeologists have found these little stone weights not just in Mohenjo Daro, but all across the Indus Valley, and they all follow this incredibly precise, standardized system. The most common weight is exactly 16 times the smallest one.
This proves they had a highly organized, regulated system of trade.
And that trade was not just local. We actually know this because of ancient records from Mesopotamia, which is modern-day Iraq. Their clay tablets talk about trading with this faraway land they called Maluha. And wouldn't you know it, the goods they describe from Maluha are a perfect match for what the Indus Valley was producing. This trade network tells such an incredible story. Their timber and ivory were hot commodities in Mesopotamia. Their famous carnelian beads traveled all the way to Mesopotamia and even ancient Egypt. So yeah, this civilization wasn't some isolated little outpost. They were international traders, real players on the world stage. But for everything we've managed to uncover, the biggest questions about Mohenjo Daro are still completely unanswered. This city is just packed with mysteries that continue to stump historians and archaeologists today. The deepest mystery of all has to be their language, the Indus script, which we found on thousands of these little seals, has over 400 unique symbols. But nobody has been able to decipher it, not a single word. We can see their cities, we can touch their tools, but we can't read their stories, their history, their beliefs. It's all locked away. And here's another baffling question. Who was in charge here? I mean, unlike Egypt or Mesopotamia, Mohenjo Daro has no giant palaces, no huge temples, and definitely no fancy royal tombs. For a city this organized, the fact that there's no obvious king or pharaoh, well, it's a total puzzle. The two most famous artifacts we have only make things murkier. This little guy, nicknamed the Priest King, is barely 6 inches tall. Just compare that to the colossal statues of Egyptian pharaohs. We have no idea who he or this beautiful dancing girl are supposed to be. But their cultural value is so immense that when India was partitioned, both India and Pakistan fiercely negotiated over who would get to keep them. Okay, so all of this brings us to the ultimate mystery. At its absolute peak, Mohenjo Daro was this bustling city, home to an estimated 50,000 people or more. Just let that sink in, a city of 50,000. And yet, in all the decades of digging, archaeologists have found the remains of only 37 people. A city of 50,000, and only 37 skeletons have been found. So, where are the graves? Where are all the bodies? It's almost as if the entire population just got up one day and walked away. But here's a thought. What if they didn't just vanish? What if they simply moved on? And their culture, well, what if it never really died? The last part of the story suggests that the legacy of Mohenjo Daro is actually still alive and well today. The evidence is kind of hiding in plain sight. The ancient vats they found in the city, probably for dyeing cotton, they look just like the ones used for modern Sindhi Ajrak textiles. The patterns on 5,000-year-old pottery, they live on in local Halla handcrafts. Even the shape of their axe heads is still used by craftsmen in the region today. So maybe the people didn't vanish. Their city was left behind, but their culture, it endured. And that, right there, brings us to our final thought. For all the incredible things we've discovered, we've only excavated about 10% of Mohenjo Daro. 10%! That means 90% of this magnificent, mysterious city is still buried. It really makes you wonder, what other secrets, what other amazing stories are just waiting down there beneath the sand?